One day, the team of heroic adventurers summons our hero, Rain, to inform him that he's been officially kicked out of the group. Rin becomes flustered and confused, unsure what to say, and asks them, is this some kind of prank? One of the team members, named Arius, shouts back at him, of course not. Rain notices that the whole team seems perfectly fine with the idea of kicking him out. Rain asks, okay, but I want to know why I'm being kicked out. The witch from the team responds, you want to know why? The reason is as clear as day. You're completely useless, kid. All you do is hold us back. The team's leader adds, you've definitely noticed this yourself, haven't you? You're no good in battle. We're always saving you from danger. The only things you're useful for are scouting and carrying supplies. Do you really think that's important? The leader continues, don't make us think even less of you. Leave your gear before you go. After all, we're the ones who provided it in the first place. The team continues talking nonsense as Rain takes off his gear, leaves it, and walks away. Later, Rain reflects on what to do next with his life, recalling moments he shared with the team during their adventures. He realizes that he once thought they were being harsh to encourage him to work harder as a beast tamer. But in truth, they never cared about him. All they ever did was belittle him. Now, with no gear and no money, he wonders how he'll start again from scratch. Soon after, a group of children approaches Rain, calling out to him, are you done with your mission with the hero? Come on, show us what you promised. Not wanting to disappoint them, Rain summons a falcon flying in the sky, bringing it down to the ground. He tells the kids, this is a temporary contract. Rain instructs the falcon to greet them, and it listens. Afterward, he releases the contract, and the bird flies away. Rain tries to explain the concept of temporary contracts with animals, but it's a bit difficult for the children to understand since they're still young. They think it's amazing and say they want to be just like him when they grow up. Rain asks one of the boys, didn't you want to become a hero? The boy replies, no, heroes and their teams are annoying. They always look down on poor people like us but suck up to the rich and nobles. Rain is surprised to learn that this is how people view Arius and his team. The kids tell Rain that he's completely different from that dumb hero group. He's kind, plays with them, and never looks down on them. The children get excited, dreaming of becoming famous adventurers and making a fortune when they grow up. At that moment, an idea comes to Rain. He could become an adventurer, traveling freely from place to place. He then heads to the Adventurers Guild, where he meets Natalie, a receptionist who welcomes him and tells him about the first adventurer's test. Rain says, sorry, could you explain to me what an adventurer really is? I don't know much about them. He thinks back to how Arius and his group always looked down on adventurers. Natalie laughs, you're very honest. Most people who come to sign up never even think about that. She says, alright, let's start from the beginning, and explains everything in detail. Once she finishes, she gives Rain his starter gear as an adventurer and asks if he has any more questions, to which he replies, no, thank you. Then, she tells him it's time for his adventurer's test and asks, what's your class? Rain responds, I'm a beast tamer. She says, that's great. You'll be good on your own in adventures. Just don't do anything reckless and get yourself hurt, alright? Rain sets off on his first adventure, which is to eliminate some goblins. He attacks the goblins, defeating them and collecting their crystals. He ends up gathering a large number of them, saying, I just need to gather a few more herbs. Suddenly, he hears a scream from deeper within the forest. He rushes to see what's happening and finds a huge, deadly tiger attacking a girl. Rain decides to attack the tiger with the knife he has, but the knife breaks, and Rain falls to the ground. The tiger turns toward Rain, and he tells the girl to run away. Rain is certain he's going to die. At that moment, the cat girl is still there and says she'll make her final attack with all her strength. She leaps high into the air and strikes the tiger, killing it instantly. Rain is stunned by what he's seeing. He asks her, who are you? Rain notices that the girl is from the tribe of cat spirits, but she collapses as she faints. Rain catches her, asking if she's alright. He thinks she's hurt, but she replies, no, I'm just really hungry, and her stomach growls. Rain gives her some food, and after she finishes eating, she thanks him, saying she hadn't eaten or drunk anything in days. She says, oh, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Kanade, from the tribe of cat spirits. Rain replies, I'm Rain Sherward. I met you in the middle of my adventurer's test. Rain asks, what were you doing here? She replies, nothing much, I just decided to travel, so I was wandering around. There aren't many of us left, so we live quietly in the depths of the mountains. But life there is pretty boring, so I set out on this journey, which led me to meet you. She says, now, tell me more about yourself, and Rain shares his story. Kanade responds, "So, you were part of the hero's team?" He says, "Yeah, for 6 months." It's the first time Rain has told anyone about being kicked out of the hero's team. After he finishes, Kanade is furious with the hero and his team of jerks. Rain says, "It's fine, what's done is done. I've already decided to pursue the path of an adventurer." He thanks Kanade for being angry on his behalf, as it's the first time anyone has been upset for him. Kanade then suggests that they form a team and says, "Why don't you tame me? I'm human, but I'm also part beast. I had a feeling you'd be able to when I first saw you. You're really strong, Rain. There are very few tamers in the world who can tame cat spirits, which means you're amazing." Rain is shocked by what he's hearing. "Tame a cat spirit? I never even thought about that," he says. He decides to give it a try and successfully forms a permanent contract with Kanade. Magic flares, and the contract is complete. Rain and Kanade are overjoyed. And so, Rain returns to the guild once again. He hands over the goblin's cores along with the required herbs, successfully completing his trial. Natalie congratulates him, informing him that he is now officially an F-rank adventurer, the first and lowest rank. She hands him his adventurer's card along with his first reward, 50 copper coins. She apologizes, saying, "Sorry, it's an F-rank quest, so the payment is small, but don't worry. As your rank increases, your pay will be much higher. And since you're quick at completing tasks, I'm sure you'll rank up in no time. Good luck." Rain thanks her. Thinking to himself, Rain realizes that if he's going to work on raising his rank, he'll need a place to stay, a base to operate from. Unfortunately, the small amount of money he has won't be enough to cover that. Afterward, Rain goes to meet up with Kanade, apologizing for being late. She smiles and says, "So you're an adventurer now, right?" He confirms and she congratulates him. Rain asks if she's okay with him starting on new quests right away, and she agrees. As they head out, a fellow adventurer notices Kanade, realizing that she's a cat spirit, and says, "This is the first time I've seen a real cat spirit. What are you doing here?" He completely ignores Rain. Kanade brushes him off, saying, "I've got nothing to say to you." The adventurer, offended, starts mocking Rain, which annoys Kanade. She snaps back, saying, "I won't allow you to talk like that to my master." The adventurer is shocked to learn that Rain has tamed Kanade. He bursts out laughing, thinking Rain is lying. "Quit joking around, kid. There's no way someone as weak as you could tame a powerful cat spirit." Kanade retorts, "That only shows how ignorant you are. Rain is a strong and skilled beast tamer, much stronger than you." Unconvinced, the adventurer says, "If this little weakling is stronger than me, then let's test it. How about an arm wrestling match? Whoever wins gets to keep the cat spirit. Don't tell me you're scared of me. You're a great tamer, right?" Rain feels nervous but realizes he can't back down. If he refuses, this guy might keep harassing Kanade. Gathering his courage, Rain accepts the challenge, even though he fears he might lose. The adventurer taunts him, saying, "Don't cry if I break your arm." As the match begins, Rain unexpectedly wins with ease, breaking the adventurer's arm in the process. Rain is left stunned, unable to understand how he did it. Kanade proudly declares Rain the winner. The adventurer, now crying in pain, is approached by Natalie, who asks, "What's all this noise about? What's going on here?" Seeing the adventurer in tears, she sighs, saying, "You again." She apologizes to Rain for the man's behavior, explaining that the guild is aware of his strange antics and that they plan to demote him as punishment. She assures Rain that she'll handle things from here and takes the adventurer away. Rain, still in shock, wonders how he managed to win. "I'm not supposed to be this strong," he mutters. Kanade explains, "You didn't realize, Rain, when you formed a contract with a powerful being like me, your strength naturally increased. As my master, you now possess the strength of a cat spirit." Rain is taken aback. "This is the first I'm hearing of this," he exclaims. Kanade, equally surprised, asks, "Really? You didn't know? In my homeland, very few tamers are strong enough to form contracts with high-ranking beings like me. It's a rare feat." Rain admits that no one in his country has ever tamed powerful beings, so he had no idea. Excitedly, Kanade urges, "Let's keep working hard together." But when she turns around, she finds Rain using the rabbits in the forest to quickly gather all the herbs he needs. Annoyed, Kanade pouts, "That's not fair. I wanted to help, not those rabbits." Just then, Kanade senses something strange in the forest. "Wait, do you hear that?" she asks. Rain grows serious. "What is it?" "I hear a scream coming from inside the forest," she says. They rush toward the source of the noise and find a group of bandits harassing an elderly merchant. The bandits sneer at him, saying, looks like your guards abandoned you as soon as they heard the Neon Fong gang was coming. How does it feel now? The old man is, of course, terrified. It's Rain's first time hearing of the Neon Fong gang. Kanade, however, recognizes them. I've heard a lot about them while traveling. This is dangerous. We need to go get help. Rain disagrees. No. We have to act fast. Otherwise, they'll kill him. There's no time. We have to stop them. Kanade, though hesitant, agrees. Rain suggests they split up. He'll take on the bandits while Kanade protects the merchant. They charge in, taking the bandits by surprise. Rain, now incredibly strong thanks to his newfound power, easily defeats them. Meanwhile, Kanade checks on the old merchant, asking if he's okay. Rain, filled with confidence, manages to beat all the bandits without breaking a sweat. However, Kanade worries that Rain's body might not be able to handle his newfound strength in the long run. As Kanade watches Rain fight, her concern fades. She realizes he's more impressive than she thought. After the fight, Rain asks, "Everything okay on your end?" Kanade nods. Yes, the old man is safe. She looks at Rain in amazement. "You're incredible, Rain. You defeated all of them without any weapons." Rain explains, "I've been trained in martial arts to defend myself while taming beasts." The old merchant thanks them for saving him from a dangerous situation, but Rain, concerned, asks, "Isn't it dangerous for you to travel alone without guards?" The merchant sighs. "I hired guards, but they fled as soon as they spotted the bandits." The old man warns Rain, "You need to get out of here. This gang is dangerous. They kill anyone who crosses them." Rain contemplates this. Are they really that dangerous? He wonders. He tells the old man, "We need to stop them." Kanade and the merchant are shocked by Rain's statement. Rain searches for the remaining members of the gang. Kanade asks, "Are you sure about this?" Rain nods. "If they're really as dangerous as you say, we might be able to escape them, but the traitors and the weak won't stand a chance. They'll always be in danger, and I won't allow that." Kanade, still uncertain, says, "But we're talking about over 100 bandits. Isn't that too much for us?" Rain replies, "Not exactly. I have a plan that will make things a lot easier for us." Afterward, Rain and Kanade rent a room at an inn to stay in instead of camping in the forest, and Kanade is absolutely thrilled to have a proper bed. We also find out that after Rain and Kanade captured the bandits, they were summoned to the Adventurers Guild, and capturing the bandits was considered a major accomplishment. Rain was promoted from rank F to rank E and also received a large sum of money. Because of this, Rain and Kanade bought new equipment from the town and even celebrated with a fancy dinner. However, when they tried to get a room at the inn, they found that only one room was available. Rain wanted a separate room from Kanade, but they had no choice. They go to sleep, but Kanade stays awake, thinking to herself about how amazing Rain is for forming a contract with her. After all, even among the strongest types, cat spirits are incredibly rare. Many humans had tried to capture Kanade, but unlike them, Rain helped her, saved her, and treats her as a friend. A week passes smoothly with work going well. One day, Rain and Kanade are eating apples in the forest, and then they return to the guild, where Rain takes on a new quest. The mission is to defeat someone who prevents people from crossing the bridge unless they defeat him. Natalie asks Rain to accept the mission and get rid of this person, telling him that the quest is available for all ranks and the reward is 4 gold coins. As soon as Rain hears about the reward, he immediately agrees, and Natalie thanks him. Rain quickly sets off to complete the mission. When he reaches the bridge, he finds that it's huge, and Kanade is absolutely amazed by it. The bridge is called the First Step, and it's the only way to travel from the central continent to the southern continent. Kanade is in awe of the view surrounding her, telling Rain it's her first time seeing something like this. Kanade then asks Rain about the person they'll face, the one called the Watchdog. Rain thinks about who it could be, but says that everyone who's been defeated by this person refuses to talk about him, so he knows nothing and decides to remain on guard. At that moment, Kanade calls out to Rain, telling him to look. Rain turns to see a giant dragon flying above them, and both he and Kanade are terrified. The dragon descends to the ground and transforms into a girl from the dragon spirit race. The girl tells Rain, "I can sense power from the both of you. Fight me now." Rain is shocked to see the dragon become a girl. Rain asks, "Can I ask you something? Are you the watchdog who's causing trouble at this bridge?" The girl replies, "That's not my favorite title, but yes, I am. I'm Tanya of the powerful dragon kin, and I'm here for my training." Rain is surprised and asks, "Training for what?" Kanade explains that among the dragon kin, they have to undergo training when they turn 15 to grow stronger. Tanya says, "You're very knowledgeable, but I'm looking for someone strong, and I insist on fighting you both. Rain and Kanade have no other choice, and the battle begins. Rain blocks Tanya's first attack, and then she breathes fire at them. They manage to dodge, but the flames singe Kanade's tail. Kanade becomes furious and attacks Tanya with full strength. The battle between the two rages on fiercely, and Rain is amazed by the sight. He attacks Tanya, but she counters and throws them into the air, preparing a fireball to finish them off. Rain thinks that even with Kanade's newfound strength, they're still unable to defeat her. Tanya unleashes a powerful fire attack, but they manage to dodge at the last second. She tells them, "Impressive. You're the first two to last this long against me." Rain realizes how strong Tanya really is and tells Kanade to distract her for just 5 minutes because he's got an idea. Rain leaves Kanade and sets his plan in motion. The fierce battle between Tanya and Kanade continues. Rain's plan is to form a contract with a bird and send it to gather the other birds. When he returns, he tells Kanade, "Alright, it's all set. Leave the rest to me." Tanya declares, "I'll finally kill you now." Rain replies, "No, you'll kill them." Tanya looks up to see a massive flock of birds attacking her, irritating her until she manages to scare them off. She tells Rain, "You really think this is how you'll defeat me? Don't make me laugh. There's no way you can beat a dragonkin with such weakness." But at that moment, Tanya collapses, unable to stand and feeling dizzy, not understanding what's happening. The bird returns to Rain's shoulder, and he tells her that the bird is a special species called the Bito, whose shiny feathers are a sign that it's venomous. Rain explains that the massive dose of venom injected into her system is enough to take down even the dragonkin for a while. Tanya tries to stand but fails and admits defeat, saying, "Fine, I surrender." "You win." Kanade is overjoyed that they've finally won. Rain tells Tanya, "Alright, come with us now." She responds, "Why? Are you going to sell me as a slave to another human?" Rain says, "Of course not. I just want to talk to you, and I need you to promise you won't cause any more trouble." She asks, "And what if I refuse?" Rain replies, "Then I'll be in big trouble." She agrees to listen and walks away. Rain reports back to Natalie that they completed the mission, and she's shocked. She tells Rain, "You're amazing. I knew you could do it. That's why I gave you the mission." She thanks them and says they'll receive the reward once they confirm everything. She then asks about Tanya, who's standing behind them, and Kanade, noticing the horns and tail, wonders if she might be from the dragonkin. Rain quickly says, No, just a girl we met while doing the mission." Tanya almost reveals her identity, but Rain quickly silences her and rushes her out of the guild. Outside, Rain tries to convince Tanya not to reveal her true identity to anyone to avoid causing problems in town. But Tanya just wants to find someone to fight, walking around eager to tell everyone who she really is. Rain stops her and takes her to the forest, explaining that she should never reveal her true identity. She apologizes for the trouble she caused and tells them she had completely forgotten. Rain tells her, "The decision we made for you is that you're free, but you need to stay away from this town as much as you can." Tanya asks, "Are you sure?" Rain replies, "Yes, fortunately, news about you hasn't spread, but you need to promise not to cause any more trouble." Then, unexpectedly, Tanya decides to join Rain and Kanade in their future adventures, becoming part of their team. Rain is surprised and asks why she wants to do that. Tanya explains that adventuring with them would be excellent training and also a lot of fun. Rain doesn't refuse the idea, and he asks Kanade what she thinks. She agrees as well. Tanya says, "Alright, then, make a contract with me, Rain." Rain agrees, forming the contract with her, and everyone is happy. The scene shifts to the hero and his team, with the hero furious that he failed his mission in the forest after spending so much time there. The team feels the absence of Rain, but of course, the scoundrels won't admit it. At that moment, the hero suggests, "What do you think about getting Rain back on the team? We'll apologize and tell him we didn't mean to hurt his feelings. He's dumb and kind, so he'll come back right away. Once we finish our tough mission in the forest, we can ditch him again. What's the harm in that?" Meanwhile, Rain is exhausted, lying on the floor of the room while leaving the beds for Kanade and Tanya, and they argue about who gets to sleep on the bed first. And the next day, they start their first mission as a trio, which is slime extermination. We learn that slimes are F-rank monsters, and anyone can defeat them easily, so most adventurers don't care about them at all. But when these monsters spread, they destroy farmers' fields. Kanade feels disgusted by the slime because it's sticky, so Tanya tells her, "Don't worry, I'll take care of them with my fire quickly." The team searches for the slimes in the forest but doesn't find anything at all. After struggling for a while, Rain decides to use the birds to locate the slimes. Tanya and Kanade don't understand, and we see that Rain transfers his consciousness from his body to the bird's body, a magic skill also linked to beast taming. He speaks to them from the bird's body, leaving them shocked. But Rain explains the situation and the process he's using. They tell him, "You're really a genius, Rain," to which he responds, "Really? Most beast tamers know how to do this." But they reply, "Of course not." Rain flies off to search for the slimes and eventually finds that all the slimes are gathered in one place. Kanade wants to crush them with a giant rock, but Tanya stops her and says to Rain, "You can cast spells, right, Rain? Try it out." He replies that he could use very simple magic before. Tanya encourages him, saying, "Just give it a try, what do you have to lose? Shoot a fireball at the slimes." Rain hesitates, saying it's a weak spell, but she insists, "Go ahead and try." Rain finally tries his magic and is surprised to find that it's incredibly powerful, wiping out all the slimes at once. Both he and Kanade are shocked, with Rain saying, "What just happened?" Tanya explains, "Just as I expected. Your contract with Kanade gave you incredible physical strength, and your contract with me gave you abilities from the dragon kin, like the fireball and enhanced flame breath using magic. The magical power of the dragon kin is the second highest in the world, and now that power has settled inside you." Rain is stunned to realize that he now possesses the second highest magical power in the world. More slimes gather again, and Tanya sees this as a good chance for Rain to practice his magic casting. She and Kanade cheer him on, and Rain gets excited, asking Tanya to teach him how to best use magic. Rain spends the whole day practicing fire magic on the slimes. Afterward, they return to the guild. Kanade and Tanya wait outside while the children play with them. Rain returns and tells them, "We got a really big reward this time." They go shopping afterward, enjoying themselves a lot, and later they have a delicious meal together. While chatting, Tanya asks Rain, "Where did you learn beast taming?" Kanade adds, "I wanted to ask you the same question." Rain says, "I don't think it's that interesting, you probably wouldn't like it." Tanya insists, "No, come on, tell us." Rain explains that he learned beast taming in the village where he was born. The whole village was full of beast tamers, and both his mother and father were tamers as well. That's why he spent most of his time learning how to tame beasts and even insects. He describes the village as small and beautiful, with no name but a wonderful place nonetheless. But unfortunately, his hometown no longer exists, leaving Kanade and Tanya saddened. They apologize, saying, "We didn't know it was such a sad story, we're sorry." Rain reassures them, "It's okay." They explain that they just wanted to know more about him but didn't mean to upset him. Rain replies, "It's fine, since we're friends, I actually want to tell you more about me." He continues, explaining that the disaster happened when he was 12 years old. His parents were very busy that day, so they weren't watching over him while he trained. Rain spent the whole day practicing beast taming on the village outskirts until evening when he suddenly saw the village on fire. Realizing something was wrong, he rushed back to the village. When he arrived, the entire village was in flames, and he was the only survivor of the monster attack. Soon after, adventurers arrived, having heard of the trouble, and they took him with them. They placed him in the inn of one of their friends, and Rain had to work every day to earn his living, doing whatever he could to survive. That was his life for years. Until exactly 6 months ago, Rain met the heroes team, led by Arios, who was assembling his team at that time. Arios invited Rain to join them, and of course, Rain agreed immediately, thinking that being part of the heroes team would allow him to make a difference in the world. But the truth was far different from what he imagined. In reality, Arios was just using him all along. Rain apologizes to Kanade and Tanya, saying, "I'm sorry the story got so dark. I must seem really pathetic now, right?" But Kanade comforts him, encouraging him by saying, "You're amazing, Rain. You just want to help people, that's not pathetic at all." Tanya tries to console him as well, saying, "You're very kind, but you're also way too shy. But that's not a bad thing either, and we're proud to have you with us." Rain is happy to have become friends with Kanade and Tanya. Tanya, still furious with the heroes team, declares she wants to destroy them if she ever sees them. Kanade feels the same way, but Rain tries to calm them down, and they all continue enjoying their time together. The next day, they start a new difficult mission, fighting orcs, which are stronger and smarter than goblins. They compete to see who can kill the most. Rain reminds them to be cautious and aware of their surroundings, to which they respond, "Don't worry." Tanya, full of confidence, says, "I'm Tanya from the Dragon Kin. There's no way I'd lose to a pack of orcs." She charges ahead recklessly, with Kanade running after her, shouting, "Wait up." Thanks to the strength of Tanya and Kanade, the orcs start fleeing, but the team easily finishes them off. However, one orc pretends to be dead, and when Tanya approaches, it knocks her to the ground and is about to attack. In her fear, she blasts it with fire, killing it, but another orc is about to strike her from behind while she's still on the ground, unable to react. Rain blocks the attack, taking a blow to his arm. In the same moment, Kanade rushes in, hitting the orc in the face, finishing it off. Tanya, worried about Rain, checks on him, but he reassures her, "Don't worry, I'm fine," healing himself with magic. He tells her, "See, I'm okay, don't be upset." But Tanya feels guilty and apologizes, and Kanade asks if he's truly okay. Rain confirms, "Yes, I'm fine, don't worry about me." He suggests they gather the monster cores and head back quickly. They return to the guild, and after receiving their reward, Rain asks Kanade where Tanya is. Kanade explains that she was here a moment ago but seemed a little down, and she felt like Tanya needed some time alone. Tanya is, in fact, sitting alone by the bridge, clearly upset, reflecting on how she messed up and caused trouble for Rain. Just then, a little girl approaches her and greets her, asking, "What did you beat today?" Tanya replies, "I didn't really do anything." The girl says, "Are you hurt? If something's bothering you, you should always say it right away. That's what my mom always tells me." Tanya smiles and says, "Your mom is very wise." The girl responds, "She is, but she keeps making me eat my vegetables," causing Tanya to chuckle. "Thanks for checking on me, but I'm fine now," Tanya reassures her. The girl beams and says, "Great, see you," and runs off. Rain arrives soon after and checks on Tanya, who apologizes to him. He reassures her again that everything's fine, calming her down. They return to the inn and sleep. In the morning, they head out on their new adventure, but just then, Rain encounters the hero's team, his old party. Rain was shocked, and Arios, the hero, said, "I haven't seen you in a while, Rain. How are you doing now?" Rain looked tense and didn't reply. He simply told Tanya and Kanade, "Let's go home," and they started walking away. Arios called out, "Wait, don't be so harsh. We were teammates, after all. We're really sorry. We should have been kinder to you." Rain became even more agitated, and Tanya said, "From what I understand, you're supposed to be the hero's party, right?" Arios was about to tell her to mind her own business when he noticed they were both from the powerful races, one a cat spirit, the other a dragonkin. "Two from the powerful races? What are you doing here?" Kanade answered him, "What do you see? We're Rain's friends." Arios was stunned, replying, "Impossible." He continued, "Oh, I get it. So the talentless Rain chose to serve you both as well, right?" Rain interrupted, "You came here to make me an offer, didn't you?" Arios nodded, "Yes, this is something beneficial for both of us. You know about the Forest of the Lost, right?" Rain replied, "Yes, my last job was the preliminary exploration and preparing to face the monsters of that forest." Arios explained, "When we faced them, they were tougher than we anticipated. The path inside the Forest of the Lost keeps changing, pushing you further off course, and the monsters are more than the four of us can handle. We ended up retreating after the first week. That's why, Rain, I'm asking you to help us complete this mission." Rain was shocked by their audacity. Arios continued, "Your creatures would make it easier to transport supplies and explore." Rain, full of anger, responded, "Do you really think I'll agree to this nonsense?" Arios arrogantly answered, "It would be an honor for you to contribute to the hero's party. Isn't that right, team?" The knight chimed in, "Sure, Rain may be useless in combat, but he has a few benefits." The rest of the party echoed these demeaning sentiments. The witch added, "You should be grateful we're letting someone as useless as you return." It was infuriating how confident they were despite being so despicable. Arios then said, "You heard them, Rain. You'll help us, won't you?" Rain snapped back, "No. Go ask someone else." He told his party, "Let's go." But the healer from the hero's team tried to guilt-trip him, saying, "What we're doing is necessary to save the world." She explained, "Deep in the forest is a noble artifact crucial for defeating the cursed beast king, called the Shield of Truth." Rain responded, "Really?" Arios confirmed, "Yes, we forgot to mention it." The healer added, "Without that shield, we'll never defeat the cursed beast king, and the monsters will spread their corruption across the land." Rain recalled his childhood and thought about how important it was to prevent the monsters from returning, or history would repeat itself, bringing destruction everywhere. He remembered his village burning, but also remembered how poorly the hero's party treated him. After considering both sides, he agreed, "Fine, I'll help you." Arios smugly responded, "You should have agreed from the start and saved us the trouble." The team continued to insult him, saying, now let's head to our base and discuss the details. But Kanade and Tanya stopped them. Kanade said, I don't like any of this, but since Rain agreed, I won't object. However, you all need to apologize to Rain first. Arios replied, what are you talking about? I already apologized. Kanade insisted, no, we need a real apology. Tanya added, you kicked Rain out, and now you're asking him for a favor? The least you can do is apologize properly. Get down on the ground and beg for his forgiveness. The hero's party was shocked, and Tanya continued, what's the problem? If it were up to me, I'd blast you with my fire. But I know Rain wouldn't like that, so I'm holding back. That's why I expect you to get your empty heads down and apologize. Arios, full of arrogance, barked, you want me, the hero, to grovel? Don't be ridiculous. I'm the hero Arios, and you want me to kneel before this weakling? Where does this kid get his confidence? He runs away from every danger he faces. Arios then grabbed Rain by the collar and said, you're far too lenient with your pets, Rain. You need to keep them in line. He continued mocking Kanade and Tanya, laughing at them, and his team laughed with him. Finally, Rain had enough. He punched Arios so hard he sent him flying to the ground. The hero's team was stunned. Arios, still in his delusional hero role, shouted, how dare you strike me, the hero? Rain replied, I'll do it again if I have to. Kanade and Tanya are my closest friends. Mock them again, and you'll pay the price. Arios, now furious, challenged Rain, fine. How about we settle this with a fight, once and for all? Let's see which team is stronger, yours or mine. Rain agreed, let's do it. The first match was between the knight and Kanade, the second between Tanya, the witch, and the healer, and the final match between Arios and Rain. The scene shifted to the fight between Kanade and the knight. He said confidently, good, I've been wanting to fight one of the powerful races anyway. Kanade, filled with excitement, replied, I'm going to beat you until you properly apologize to Rain. The knight smugly said, there's no reason for me to apologize. The hero's party doesn't need weaklings. Kanade, furious, charged at him with incredible speed. The knight couldn't handle her strength and was clearly outmatched. She ridiculed him for his weakness, and the knight tried to justify himself, saying, we need Rain for now, but don't blame me if I kill you. Kanade laughed, bring it on. I've only been using half my strength. Now I'll use all of it. The knight was trembling with fear, clearly on the verge of breaking down, and wondered why someone so strong would serve someone as weak as Rain. Kanade told him, you still don't get it. Rain is stronger than all of you combined, you trash. With one powerful strike, she defeated him, ending the first battle. The scene shifted to Tanya's fight. She said, I thought I'd be fighting the hero, but I guess I'll leave the fun for Rain. The witch and healer retorted, watch how you speak about Arios. Tanya replied, I meant you two are way too weak for me to take seriously. The fight began with magic spells, but Tanya effortlessly nullified their attacks with a flick of her finger. The witch and healer were stunned, and Tanya laughed at their incompetence. Did you really think you could beat me like this? They tried attacking again, but Tanya easily dispelled their magic once more. They kept trying, but all their spells failed, leaving them helpless. Tanya mocked, you thought you could get away with insulting my master? Think again. She began gathering immense magical energy for a devastating attack, and the witch and healer were terrified, on the verge of tears. Just before releasing her attack, Tanya stopped and laughed, I was just messing with you. But it was too late, they had already fainted from fear. The scene shifted to Rain's fight with Arios. Arios sneered, you're a fool, Rain, to face me, the hero. You, a lowly beast Tamer, rejected my generous offer, and worse, you dared to strike me. I'll make sure you regret this. But Rain wasn't listening to his pointless rant and quickly attacked. Arios managed to dodge the blow. Arios said, you idiot, I was talking just now. Rain replied, and I don't want to listen to your endless blabbering. Arios, annoyed, charged at him with his sword at lightning speed. Rain dodged every attack, even though they were incredibly fast. He kept evading, focusing and waiting for the right moment to strike. Rain could sense that Arios wasn't as strong as expected for a hero, unlike when he fought Tanya. Rain grabbed Arios' arm, blocking his attack, and said, is that all you've got? Arios was stunned, you blocked my attack. In that instant, Rain struck him again, making Arios bleed from his mouth. Arios was baffled, unable to comprehend where Rain had gained all this power. As the fight continued, Arios asked, how do you know how to fight like this? Rain responded, you want to know? This is the strength of a beast tamer, the same power you mocked before. I gain power through the contracts I form. Rain told him, you'll never defeat me in a fair fight, and with another powerful strike, he added, admit your defeat, Arios. Desperate, Arios used magic and attacked Rain with lightning. Rain dodged again, and Arios sneered, "You're truly an idiot, Rain. Did you forget my skill? I'll burn you to ashes, useless beast Tamer." Arios unleashed his magic on Rain, but Rain countered with fire, effortlessly blocking the attack. Arios was left in shock. Arios continued with his baseless arrogance, but at that moment, Rain used the power of his wasp familiar to paralyze Arios, making him collapse to the ground, unable to move. Rain said, "Now it's time for me to unleash my fury on you." Arios begged for mercy, but Rain struck him with all his might, completely wrecking him. Rain felt relieved and overjoyed as Kanade and Tanya arrived at that moment. And then we find Rain's team entering the Lost Forest for their new adventure, searching for the shield. They quickly become disoriented, and mushrooms are everywhere. Kanade starts to get bored and says, "Yeah, it really is dark here, even though it's daytime." Tanya, getting frustrated, suggests, "How about we just burn the whole forest down?" Rain responds, "Of course not. You know we can't do that. This forest is an essential part of the ecosystem." Tanya backs off, okay, I was just kidding. But seriously, the shield is here, right?" Rain confirms, "Yes, the shield of truth, which only the hero can wield, is in this forest." Looking at the map that Arios' team had drawn, Rain says, "This is absolutely useless." Tanya agrees, but says, "We still have to find the shield, no matter what." Rain nods, "That's our job right now." We then flash back to the time right after Rain's team defeated Arios' group. Arios and his team apologized to Rain, and Rain forgave them. After that, Arios gave Rain information about the shield's location, explaining that it's guarded by a monster deep in the forest. He also stressed how important the shield is for defeating the cursed beast king. Arios urged Rain to retrieve it quickly, emphasizing that, as the hero, he knew the world's fate was at stake. Kanade and Tanya both felt like Arios was trying to boss them around again, and Kanade, irritated, said, "I really doubt your apology is genuine." Rain calmed them down, saying, "It's fine. We've already accepted the mission." Returning to the present, Rain is now contemplating his next move. Kanade asks, "Are you really going to help that hero? I really don't like the idea." Tanya adds, "You don't need to help those idiots. I could defeat the cursed beast king on my own." Rain reassures them, "I appreciate your concern, but we still need that fool Arios. He's the only one who can defeat the cursed beast king." They reluctantly agree, but say, "We're only doing this because you're way too nice, so we have to look out for you." Kanade adds, "I'm glad you always act with such honesty and integrity." Rain thanks them for their trust. Tanya then points out, "Too bad you don't really know how to use this map, right?" Rain replies, "Don't worry, we're just going to change our course." He then calls for his bird familiar, which comes to him, and Rain tells them, "I'm going to merge with the bird like last time. You protect my body while I scout." Rain's soul leaves his body, and he explores the forest, noting how vast it is. He realizes that even though the path is hidden, he can pinpoint it. After finding the way, he returns to his body. Tanya asks, "Did you find the path?" Rain responds, "Yes, thankfully." The group cheers up and heads down the path. After a while, Tanya says, "We've been walking for ages and still haven't found anything." Kanade asks, "How much longer till we get there?" They stop and realize they're back at the spot where they marked their starting point with a stone. Kanade teases, "Looks like you led us the wrong way after all." Rain responds, "I don't think so. I shared my info with the other birds. If I made a mistake, it's unlikely they all did too." Tanya interjects, "I think we're on the right path as well, but there's some big secret in this forest that we don't know about." She adds, "Wait a second. Let me check something." She uses her magic, and glowing orbs appear, guiding the team through the forest. They follow the orbs until they reach a tree known as the illusion tree. Tanya explains that this tree's magic causes people to lose their way repeatedly. She asks Kanade, "Can you destroy this tree? If we remove it, we'll be able to find our path." Rain objects, "Isn't there a way to break the barrier without destroying the tree?" Tanya replies, "The barrier is too strong. I can remove it, but it will take a long time." Kanade insists, "But if we waste time, that idiot hero will make fun of you, Rain, and I won't let that happen. So let me just destroy this tree quickly." As Kanade prepares to attack the tree, a voice suddenly tells them to leave the place immediately. Kanade hesitates, feeling a surge of fear, and stands frozen. They keep hearing the voice ordering them to leave, but they can't figure out where it's coming from. At that moment, a fairy emerges from the tree, leaving the team stunned. We learn that these fairies are among the strongest and have magical powers far greater than even the dragon folk. Additionally, the last time humans saw a fairy was 2 years ago. Fairies view humans as enemies because humans have destroyed forests to harvest resources. After tensions escalated, the fairies retreated into the deep forests and mountains to keep humans away. Because of this, fairies harbor a deep hatred for humans. Rain tries to talk to the fairy, but she repeats, "Leave this place and go quickly." He replies, "I just want to talk to you." The fairy sternly responds, "Leave now, or I will crush you in seconds." Frightened, the group quickly runs as far as they can. Once they are safe, Kanade says, "Good thing she didn't chase us." Kanade wonders aloud, "Aren't fairies supposed to be kind and gentle creatures?" Rain explains, "Yes, but it's strange that she even revealed herself. I think she did it because I'm human." Tanya adds, "So you're saying there's more to this than just that?" Rain agrees, "Yes, I think it happened because we got too close to the barrier." Tanya nods, "Yeah, she appeared when Kanade tried to destroy the barrier." Rain starts thinking about why the fairy was so aggressive. Tanya dismisses the concern, saying, "Whatever happened, it doesn't matter. She caught us off guard before, but this time, we'll be ready. I'll block her spells, and Kanade will destroy the tree. That way, we won't have to deal with her anymore. Right, Rain?" But Rain disagrees, "No, I think it's better if I try talking to her again." Tanya and Kanade are both shocked. Tanya protests, "How? She wasn't interested in talking at all." Kanade adds, "Yeah, it's not safe at all." Rain convinces them, and they eventually agree to his plan. Rain approaches the fairy again. She repeats, "Leave this place." He replies, "We're not your enemies. We just want to talk." But the fairy insists again, "Leave now." Rain continues, "We didn't come here to harm the forest. We just need to complete a task and then we'll leave." The fairy points her magic at him, saying, "If you don't leave, I will destroy you." Rain bravely responds, "Attack me if you must." The fairy is taken aback by his response. Rain adds, "Do whatever you want to me, but please don't harm my teammates." The fairy warns, "In that case, I will destroy you right now." She conjures magical arrows aimed at finishing him off in seconds. Kanade and Tanya try to intervene, but Rain stops them, assuring them, "Don't worry." He thinks to himself that he can endure one attack but won't back down. The fairy launches the arrows, and they pierce his body, leaving wounds all over, but he remains still. The fairy asks, "Why aren't you running?" Rain responds, "I told you, all I want is to talk, nothing more." Surprised, the fairy says, "So you let my attacks hit you just to earn my trust?" She continues, "I don't understand. Are you really a human, like the ones who stole and defiled our land?" Rain answers, "Yes, I'm human. But not all humans are like that. There are many kind humans too. I only hope you can trust me." But the fairy doesn't listen and attacks Rain again, but this time Kanade and Tanya pull him back and block the attacks themselves. The fairy is surprised and stops her arrows quickly. Kanade tells the fairy that Rain is not a bad person and asks her to believe her. They go on telling her about all the good things Rain has done for them and how he's a kind person. The fairy becomes convinced and dispels her magic. She says to Rain, "You're really a strange human," and lands on the ground, offering her hand to help him up. She asks him for his name, and he replies, "Rain." She then introduces herself, "I'm Sora. I'll listen to what you have to say." Rain explains his story to her, and Sora says, "So you're looking for the shield of truth for the hero, is that it?" Rain replies, "Yes, but the problem is this barrier is in our way." Sora tells him, "I'm the one who created this barrier." Rain then asks her, "Could you please remove it so we can pass?" She cuts him off and says, "Of course not. The barrier keeps people from reaching the fairy village, and I can't risk putting my companions in danger." Tanya jumps in and says, "I feel like you're working with the monster." Sora replies, "There's no monster in this forest that has the shield you're talking about." The team is stunned, and Sora explains that the only thing in the forest is the path leading to the fairy village, and the fairies are the ones protecting the shield of truth. Kanade asks, "So, what's this monster story then?" Tanya says, "I'm sure someone spread the wrong information." Sora says, "If this shield is important to defeating the cursed beast king, then I'll give it to you." One moment. She opens her dimensional bag, takes out the shield, and hands it to them. The team is thrilled to have the shield and complete their mission. They thank Sora, and Rain asks her, "Is there anything we can do to repay you?" She replies, "No need, I was just doing my duty." Kanade then says to Rain, "Let's head back to the city and hand over the shield." Rain agrees, and they thank Sora again. As they're walking away, Rain suddenly stops, feeling like something's wrong. He goes back to Sora and asks, "Sora, is something bothering you?" "I don't know what it is, but that's just my feeling. Even if it's a small thing, I'd like to hear it from you. Since you gave us the shield of truth, I want to help you too. Sora hesitates and says, actually, before stopping herself, thinking that revealing it could endanger them as well. She finally says, no, there's nothing. Rain reassures her, don't worry. Even if it's dangerous, I don't mind helping you. Tanya adds, don't worry. This is just how Rain is, always too nice for his own good. So why not give us a chance to help you? We're strong too, you know. Sora then says, since I consider you trustworthy, I'll tell you everything. She explains that she has a younger twin sister named Rona, whose personality is completely different from hers, but they've always been very close. Originally, there were multiple paths leading to the fairy village, and multiple barriers in the world. Sora and Rona were tasked with maintaining the barrier that protected the path to the Forest of Lost. It was a boring job, but they were always happy to do it together. One day, however, they were forced to leave the barrier for a short time. That's when they encountered a monster who works for the cursed Beast King's army. They tried to escape back to the barrier, but the monster chased them. They were forced to fight it but failed to defeat it. The monster then captured Rona and took her away. Rain is surprised that the monster was strong enough to overpower even the fairies, and Sora tells him that the monster is the Shadow Knight. Rain says, now I get it. The Shadow Knight is a Class G monster, which makes it a powerful creature, even able to defeat the strongest races. It also has an ability to negate all magic attacks. In short, only physical attacks can hurt it, which makes the fight with fairies completely unfair. Sora explains that the Shadow Knight ordered her to remove the barrier, and in exchange, he would release Rona. But Sora refused to put the rest of the village in danger. She went to the village leader for help, but he told her that it would be better to abandon her sister for the safety of the village and that it was their fault for leaving the barrier unguarded in the first place. At this point, Rain comforts Sora and tells her that he will save her sister. He gently reassures her while she cries. Rain asks Sora where the knight is, and she tells him, over there, in that area, and Rona is there too. Rain says, alright, leave the rest to us, and they head out to rescue Rona. Sora tells them, I must come with you, but Rain responds, you can't. If he realizes you broke your deal with him, he might kill Rona. I know you're worried about her, but please, wait here. She replies, alright, I trust you all, but please, fight cautiously and take good care of yourselves. They go to the Shadow Knight's location and find him sitting there with Rona tied up in a tree above. The team prepares and attacks the knight all at once. Rain hurls a fireball at him, but the knight remains completely unaffected and says, magic spells are useless against me, you know that. Rain and Kanade rush to attack him physically, and Rain says, but maybe I can at least distract you, right? The knight notices Rain's strength and says, what's this power? Could it be? Are you the hero? Rain replies, comparing me to him is an insult. The knight says, so you're not the hero, yet you still dare challenge me, knowing I serve the cursed Beast King. What's your purpose here? Tell me. Rain responds, I don't have to answer you. The knight continues, I see. This is all for the fairy, isn't it? I must execute punishment for betrayal, mustn't I? He's about to finish Rona with his sword, but Tanya quickly blocks the attack and frees Rona, saying to Rain, Rona is safe with me now, as she flies off with her. The knight becomes furious and says, you won't escape me so easily. He's about to attack Tanya and Rona when Rain and Kanade intercept him, telling him, don't forget about us. Kanade tells Rain that she and he should distract the knight while Tanya gets Rona to safety. Rain agrees, yes, the plan worked, but unfortunately, we haven't defeated him yet. He thinks to himself, even with Kanade's strength, we're barely holding our own against him. The Shadow Knight grows enraged, saying, don't underestimate me, you insects. He launches a powerful attack that devastates the entire area around him, but Kanade and Rain manage to dodge it. Rain tells Kanade that he'll pin down the knight, and she should strike him with all her strength to finish him off. Rain then looks for Arbai bees and makes a contract with them, charging into battle alongside them to paralyze the knight. He thinks to himself, maybe paralysis won't work on the Shadow Knight, but I have no other choice. The bees swarm the knight, and Rain casts a strengthening spell on Kanade. She feels an immense surge of power and attacks the knight, finally taking him down. Kanade is overjoyed and says to Rain, what did you just do to me? I felt an incredible power all of a sudden. Rain explains, it's a unique spell for tamers. Basically, it temporarily boosts your natural abilities. I couldn't use it before, but Tanya's magic helped support me and made it possible. Tanya then arrives and reassures them that Rona is safe, although unconscious, but otherwise fine. She also says, that strengthening spell is a lost magic. How did you manage to cast it? The team celebrates their success in saving Rona. Rona wakes up and asks, "Who are you?" Rain replies, "We're your sister's friends. She asked us to rescue you. You're safe now." They take Rona back to Sora, who is overjoyed that Rona is safe, and she thanks the team for rescuing her. Everyone is happy at this moment, but Rona and Sora say that they now have to leave the area immediately because the villagers abandoned them when Rona was in trouble, and no one came to help her. Because of that, they can't live among them anymore. Rain tells them, "You need to be careful. The forest is full of dangerous monsters like the Shadow Knight." Rona explains that they've been isolated from the outside world for so long that they didn't know anything about the situation. Kanade says, "What do you think about coming with us?" She and Tanya try to convince them to join their team, and Tanya says, "The decision is up to Rain, our leader." At this moment, Rain agrees, and everyone is happy. Rona and Sora then say, "Now you need to make a contract with us too." Rain is shocked, and they tell him that since he already has a contract with Tanya and Kanade, they also want to be of benefit to him. Rain agrees and makes a contract with them too. But Rain is completely exhausted from making contracts with two powerful beings at once and is about to collapse. Rona and Sora catch him and ask, "Are you alright?" Rain replies, "Yeah, it's just a bit of dizziness." They tell him, "Lean on us for support." Later, Rain goes to deliver the shield to the worthless hero, while his team watches from a distance. Rain presents the shield of truth to the hero, who is shocked and asks, "What's going on?" The hero says, "That's strange. It's only been 2 days since you left." Rain responds, "Yes, and we completed the mission in just 2 days." The foolish hero stands up and says, "Impossible. It took us a whole week, and we still couldn't get it. This shield must be fake." Rain tells him, "If you think that, then go ahead and examine it." The healer uses appraisal magic on the shield and confirms that it's indeed real. Everyone is stunned, and the worthless hero wonders how they could have succeeded so quickly. The hero looks over at Rain's team and sees Rona and Sora, saying, "There are some new faces here. They look like kids." Rain tells him, "That's none of your business," and thinks to himself that he asked Rona and Sora to hide their wings because if people found out there were fairies in a human settlement, it could cause panic in the whole area. Rain then asks the hero, "Where's the reward you promised?" The hero retorts, "You go straight for the money, huh?" Rain takes the money and says, "Alright, 20 gold coins, as agreed," and leaves. At that moment, the knight stops Rain and asks, "Wait, do you want to rejoin our team?" Rain is shocked, and the foolish hero yells, "Are you insane? Who gave you permission to do that?" The knight responds, "Yes, this is my idea. But recent events prove we really need Rain. He even passed through the Forest of the Lost, something we couldn't do together." The knight offers Rain to rejoin their team, but of course, Rain refuses the offer and leaves with his team. But we see that the worthless hero remains bitter and jealous of Rain and vows to destroy him. Later, Rain tells his team the legend of the hero and the cursed Beast King when they ask if it has to be the hero who defeats the Beast King. The team convinces Rain that he's growing stronger all the time, and in the end, he'll be the one to defeat the cursed Beast King himself. They all laugh and feel very happy. In the morning, the team wakes up and goes to have breakfast. Tanya tells Rain that he needs to get new equipment to match his current strength. Rain tells them that he has plenty of money from the last job with the hero, so he's okay with getting new gear. He thinks to himself that he needs new equipment to become stronger and protect his friends. After that, Rain goes with the team to the market to buy equipment. However, Rona and Sora are very nervous and scared of being around so many humans, fearing someone might discover they are fairies. Rain reassures them, but Sora says that even though he reassured them, they are still scared. Rona mentions that they have been isolated from real life for a long time, but then they notice that Tanya and Kanade are mingling very well with the humans and interacting with them normally. At that moment, some kids come over and start joking with Rain. Rona almost reveals her true nature in front of the children, but Rain and Sora stop her. Rona then asks them why they stopped her, saying that when someone asks her to perform, she must oblige immediately. Sora reminds her that if she uses magic, her wings will appear, and their identity will be revealed in this town. After that, they arrive at the best weapon shop in town, although it looks very rundown from the outside. When they enter, they find an old dwarf who is the shop owner. Rain tells the dwarf that he is looking for a weapon and a suitable shield for himself. The old dwarf tells him to choose whatever he wants. Kanade whispers to Tanya that the dwarf looks very scary, and Tanya responds that dwarves are known for being very grumpy. Rain searches the shop for a suitable weapon and thinks he now understands why the shop is famous in the city, because the owner is a dwarf blacksmith. He keeps looking until he finds a dagger that he likes. Tanya tells him that just a dagger isn't enough. He needs a more impressive weapon. Rain replies that he is used to using daggers. When Rain opens the dagger, Kanade is also impressed, but Rain senses something very strange about it. At that moment, another customer enters and tells the old dwarf that he is the best blacksmith in the city and that he wants the best and most expensive weapon. He places a pouch of silver coins in front of the dwarf. The old dwarf gives him a very beautiful sword, and the customer is very happy, takes it, and leaves. Rain goes to the dwarf and asks if the weapon he just sold was really the best he had. The old dwarf looks at him sharply and asks what he means. Rain tells him that the sword is just a beautiful showpiece but would be very weak in actual battles. He also mentions that all the weapons in the shop seem to be the same, implying that the dwarf might be hiding something. Tanya, Kanade, Rona, and Sora are surprised by Rain's words, but the old dwarf smiles, laughs, and tells him that he has an excellent eye. He admits that Rain is right. All the weapons he made in his free time are the ones displayed, and none of them are special. Rona exclaims that this is 100% true deception. The old dwarf then shows Rain a magnificent collection of swords, and Rain is amazed by their high quality. Rain asks the dwarf why, if he can make such amazing weapons, he treated the previous customer like a fool. The old dwarf explains that it was a test of passion. Nowadays, people earn money and come to buy good weapons without considering their individual skills or weapon preferences. They even discard the finely crafted weapons if they can't use them well. For us blacksmiths, the weapons we make are like our children. It would be selfish if I wanted only good people to use them. The team understands the old dwarf at that point. The dwarf then asks Rain how he could distinguish the weapons. To the dwarf, all the weapons seem excellent to mislead people. Rain tells him that he doesn't know exactly, but it might be because he is a beast tamer. When taming an animal, he observes it carefully and learns all its behaviors, making him suspicious of everything, not just because of the situation with the dwarf. The old dwarf tells Rain that he likes him and that from that moment on, Rain will be one of the people for whom he will craft special weapons. Rain is very happy, and Kanade and Tanya tell him that he is as amazing as ever. The old dwarf then tells Rain that he has a problem. He doesn't have any materials to make weapons at the moment. He needs a certain rare metal. Rain then goes to the guild and gives the request to Natalie to assign someone to find the metal for him. After that, Rain and the team also go to find the metal so the old dwarf can make him a weapon too. They head towards the mine and are getting very close to it, enjoying themselves. Kanade comments that it feels like they are on a picnic, but Rona and Sora are exhausted from walking and are completely worn out. They rest for a while on the way, and since it's very hot, they go to the lake to relax for a bit. The girls enjoy themselves in the lake while Rain rests under a tree and falls asleep. After that, they set off again towards the mine, finding the situation at the tunnel very suspicious. Kanade asks Rain if they are going in, and Rain tells her to remember that they talked about the metal in the mine suddenly disappearing. He thinks that there might be thieves stealing it and that they could be inside right now. Rona suggests they go in and catch them. Suddenly, the thieves appear, and Tanya and Kanade fight them. Rona and Sora then use their magic to gather information from the thieves' memories. They tell Rain that they are a large group of adventurers and that there are 5 more besides the 2 they dealt with. Rain and the team prepare to enter the mine, and he tells them that it seems there is a beast tamer with the adventurers inside because they knew their location through the bird that was flying near them a while ago. And then they all enter the cave. One of them says to his men, "Our guys still haven't returned yet. This is a problem. They must be dead for sure. They're not coming back." The other one replies, "All right then. We need to go out and finish them off ourselves." Suddenly, without any warning, a huge fireball attacks Rain. But Rona and Sora manage to block it with their magic easily. The other girl in the group tries to launch another fireball, but they block it effortlessly as well. They manage to restrain the 2 girls in the group. Kanade then goes and attacks the other 2 men, taking them down and tying them up, leaving them aside. Only the leader remains. Rain then asks him, "So who are you exactly?" He replies, "It's none of your business. But I'll tell you that I work under the blacksmith Gantus, and I will never surrender to you no matter what happens. I'll defeat you right now." They fight for a while, but the guy can't do anything against Rain. He says, "No way, I'm not giving up yet." Then he summons a huge beast called Behemoth, which is a rank B monster. They are all very surprised because there's a significant enmity between humans and monsters, so how could he tame it so easily? Rain responds, "Yes, taming such a magical beast usually requires an enormous amount of magical power." The guy says, "Well, if you don't know what I did, I'll tell you. I managed to tame this beast since it was 10 years old, so it can adapt to me. Then he commands his beast to attack Rain. The beast charges at Rain, knocking him down. As the cave starts collapsing, Kanade grabs all her friends and they rush outside. The beast continues attacking Rain, preparing to deliver the final blow, but Kanade intervenes at the last moment and saves him. She says, "Look, no matter what you say, I'm here to fight with you whether you like it or not." Rain replies, "I don't need you, I can fight on my own without you. I don't want you involved in this." But he asks her, "Can you capture that guy while I deal with the beast? He's the one controlling it." The beast attacks Rain again, but this time he dodges its strike, saying to himself, "I've figured out its moves, it can't hit me anymore. But I still need to act quickly before the entire cave collapses." Meanwhile, Kanade manages to capture the guy. Rain then says to him, "Alright, tell your beast to stop attacking, or we'll kill you." But the guy refuses and orders his beast to finish Rain off. The beast attempts several times to kill him but fails each time. Rain thinks to himself, "There's only one way left. I'm not sure if it'll work, but it might cost me my life." The beast charges at him again, but Rain manages to stop its movement completely. The guy asks, "What did you do to my beast?" Rain replies, "I've managed to tame your beast for myself. It's normally impossible to steal someone else's taming, but since I'm strong enough, I can do things like this." The tamer says, "Impossible. I've never seen anything like this before," and orders his beast to attack Rain with all its might again. The beast becomes confused and doesn't know what to do, then gets frustrated and tries to attack its tamer. But Rain intervenes and saves him just in time. Using his fire power, he kills the beast before it can strike him down. Afterwards, they all regroup, and Rain says, "We've interrogated all the captives. They all admitted they got their weapons from Gantus. Since he tricked them all, they decided to get revenge by stealing the metal he uses to forge his weapons so he couldn't make more." They go to the old man and he says, "I know I've done a lot of wrong things in my life and fooled many customers because I never liked them. So I know I'm a failed blacksmith, and you don't need to tell me that." Rain replies, "I know you're a failed blacksmith, but you still have time to correct your mistakes. We all make mistakes, but a true failure is someone who can't fix them. The strong and good ones are those who can fix their mistakes and start anew. The most important thing is that you learned from your errors." The old man says, "I can't believe a boy your age is giving me advice, but you're right. I made mistakes and I'll start a new chapter. And the beginning will be your sword, the first one I make for you." Rain says, "Alright. I also need you to make me a dagger and some gloves." Meanwhile, we return to Alice, who is choosing someone from his group. He rejects one of the applicants for the role. The applicant asks, "Why did you reject me?" Alice replies, "Didn't you tell me before that you're a beast tamer? How can you only tame one animal? You wouldn't be able to do anything on your own." The man replies, "No, I can tame bigger types like bears and birds." Alice says, "Look, you can't tame more than that." The applicant asks, "Is there anyone who can do more than that?" The man replies, "No, it's impossible. No one can do that." Alice says, "That means you're much worse than him since you can't do that either. Look, buddy, we need someone who can fight alone. I'm sorry to say, but you won't work for us at all, and you failed all the tests." Then he talks to the girl beside him and says, "Bring the next one." She replies, "Sorry, that was the last applicant." He's shocked and says, "That means all the applicants were just failures. None of them were good enough." The girl thinks to herself, the last guy wasn't suitable, but many before him were. Still, none of them were like Rain, not even close. She asks the leader, "Don't you think your standards are too high?" He replies, "Are you saying my selection criteria are wrong?" She says, "No, that's not what I mean. I mean you've been different and more irritable since he left." He tells her, "Alright, go rest for a while. You look tired today." Then we see him take out a high-grade jewel and say, "Before I do anything, I need to use this to deal with Rain." We then see Rain at the reception, asking what happened to the Temple Rhine thieves. She replies, "We simply revoked their adventurer licenses and sentenced them to hard labor." He tells her, "That's a very harsh punishment." She replies, "No, they deserve worse. These people stole many things and caused trouble in various places, so they deserve their sentence." At that moment, the twins are waiting outside and ask him what happened. He says, "The thieves were punished and got what they deserved." They tell him, "Don't be upset, you did your part, and no one can blame you. If that beast had stayed alive, it would have been a huge threat to the city." Rain replies, "Yes, you're right. So, what do you think about taking a walk around the city today? The weather is nice." They agree, and as they stroll around, they enjoy some sausages, which they really like. Afterwards, they sit together and ask him, What ability did you gain when you formed a contract with us? Rain is puzzled and asks, what ability? They explain to him, yes, you gained certain physical abilities when you form a contract with Kanade, and you also got magical power from the dragon girl. So, you should have gained a magical ability when you formed a contract with us. Do you feel any different? Rain replies, no, I don't feel any different. They are surprised and ask, how is that possible? Surely your magical power must be stronger than before. Rain is curious and asks them, what stronger magic? They tell him, this stronger magic is much more powerful than advanced magic. It's a technique only we can use, and now we can't use it anymore. So you must be able to use it. Rain replies, honestly, I don't feel anything. The girls feel disappointed because he didn't gain anything from them and say, we're so useless and worthless. He reassures them, don't worry, guys. I don't judge my partners by their power. Even if I didn't gain anything from you, what matters to me is that you stay by my side and remain my friends. That's very important to me. They ask him, why do you care about us so much? Even the people from our village abandoned us, and they were right because we made many mistakes. We want to know why you stick with us and refuse to leave us. Rain says, look, I'll tell you. You know I was kicked out of the heroes team, right? And I was kicked out without any warning. I always wondered why we didn't succeed together. I realized it was because I never trusted them, and unfortunately, I didn't trust myself either. I was always afraid of them but still did my best. Now, things are different. I have friends I want to stay with forever. You are my best and dearest friends. They continue walking through the market, feeling hungry and wanting to eat. Then a man approaches them and asks, who are you and what are you doing here? They reply, what a stupid question. Who are you, and why are you asking about us? Mind your own business. The next day begins with them standing in front of that man, saying, who is this stranger? The man suddenly says, I must take these kids with me. Rain gets angry and asks him, what are you saying, man? And who are you anyway? What do you want from us? The man replies, listen, my name is Ajay, and I am the son of the governor of this area. If you agree to what I'm saying, you will become very rich and see a lot of luxury. In short, I will turn your lives 180 degrees. But the twins say, we are not coming with you. Ajay responds, fine, it's your choice. I advised you, and it's up to you. Suddenly, he signals his guards, who gather around them. But Rain, in just 1 second and with ease, knocks all the guards to the ground, and they can't get up. Then he tells Ajay, we won't surrender, and you better leave now for your own good. Ajay says, no, I won't leave now, and orders his men to raise their swords against all the townspeople. Rain then tells Ajay, give me those girls with you, or I will kill all these innocent townspeople. Rain thinks to himself, what should I do? The guards are spread throughout the town. If I try to save someone, I won't be able to save the rest. The twins tell him, we can help because no one knows we have magical power. Rain replies, okay, but if you do that, it will be revealed that you are fairies, and we won't be able to stay in this town for even a minute. After you have grown to love this place and its people, you will have to leave it so easily. He thinks to himself and realizes he can use fireballs all at once without any problem. Indeed, he uses this ability and manages to hit all the guards at once. Then he tells Ajay, leave here and don't try to come back again. Ajay replies, you will regret all of this. But then he leaves. The townspeople thank Rain for what he did but tell him, you better flee now before Ajay comes back. Rain and the girls quickly head back to the hotel. At that time, Rona recounts what Rain did. Sora says, look, this power is probably because we formed a contract with you. Rain replies, really, this power is amazing, and I managed to control it since the last time I trained. Sora says, well, great, forming a contract with us has finally paid off. Kanade says, let's focus on our issue now. We can't let this go easily, and we need to know this person's value so he can't mess with anyone else again. Rain replies, okay, but I found out from the townspeople that this person is evil and has a lot of power. He kidnaps women he likes and assaults them. Tanya asks, even if he is the governor's son, how has he been left alone without being arrested? They realize it's because the governor doesn't have any other children, so he spoils him and gives him whatever he wants, basically born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Sora asks, why don't the knights arrest him? Rain replies, it's because they can't find any evidence against him, so they leave him alone. Tanya says, it's time to burn down their castle and show them when to mess with the people. I will never stay silent about this. Rain thinks to himself, I want to get rid of them, but I'm also worried about the girls and all the townspeople. Honestly, I want to leave here in any way possible. Kanade says, admit it, I know what you're thinking. You want to leave the town. Rain is very surprised and asks her, how did you know that? She replies, we've known you for a while now, 9 episodes to be exact. You want to save the townspeople. But this man has a lot of power, and you are afraid we might get hurt. But don't worry about that. We are with you, and we will know how to save the whole town. Rain says, okay, let's come up with a plan to solve this problem and save the townspeople. Night falls, and we see Ajay sitting with his father. His father asks him, if you want anything from me, just tell me directly. Ajay says, don't worry, Dad, I know what to do. At that time, his guard comes in and says, listen, boss, if anyone files any complaint against me, I want you to silence them by any means necessary. Give them some money, bribe them, anything. Just don't let them speak, even if you have to get rid of them. The guard replies, okay, boss. Don't worry, I will handle it. Ajay tells him, fine. Now I want you to investigate the boy named Rain and find out everything about him from the time he was born until now. He continues, let me tell you something, if you manage to bring that boy here, I will pay you money that will make you live like a king for the rest of your life. At that time, Rain and Kanade go to the station to file a complaint against Ajay. Kanade is very scared to enter the station. Rain asks her, what's wrong? You don't want to go in? You seem scared. Why? She replies, because I look very strange, they might suspect me. They enter, and they ask the girl to file a complaint for them. But the girl gets nervous when several guards come in and say, we don't have to do this. We have all been here since yesterday, and it was a simple matter that got resolved, so don't blow it out of proportion. Kanade replies, a simple matter? He wanted to assault my friend. How can you take this lightly? Not only did he want to assault them, but he also wanted to take them with him. Rain tells her, stop. One of the knights says, this is slander against Ajay, and you are putting yourself at risk of a treason charge. We see someone standing and listening to them, but we don't know who he is. Rain and Kanade leave, saying, it looks like they are conspiring with the governor, making it easy for him to do whatever he wants. No one will catch him because they have no evidence. At that time, Kanade feels someone is following them, and a girl appears. Kanade asks her, why were you following us? The girl replies, don't worry, I was just following you to talk to you. As a knight, I have to be honest with you. I'm sorry. Please forgive us. I know our behavior made you distrust the knights. Rain and Kanade are very surprised that a knight is bowing to them. Rain tells her, don't worry, we forgive you. She replies, my name is Stella, and I am the captain of the Horizon branch of the knights. They are very surprised and introduce themselves, saying, my name is Rain, and this is Kanade. She says, okay, before I tell you anything, I want to thank you very much because your voice was heard everywhere. I heard that the bandits known as the Diamond Fangs were defeated by a cat spirit girl and an adventurer. I then felt unqualified to carry out my mission, and I didn't want to protect the town at all. I wanted to punish the governor for his mistakes, and I really need your help now. And if you know, most of the knights here are corrupt, working with the governor and neglecting all their duties as knights, controlling the town's residents whom they're supposed to protect. Honestly, I want to restore the knights to how they were before, and I've been thinking about what to do, but I found you guys, and you even managed to file a complaint against the governor's son. You guys are really amazing. Rain thinks to himself, should I trust her or what exactly should I do with her? Kanade says to him, I feel we should trust her, and I also feel she's good and won't harm us. Rain says, okay, we'll help you, and we won't leave you. She gets very happy and thanks him for agreeing. Then she asks him, why are you targeting the governor in the first place? He says, honestly, because I found out some really bad things about him, and I need to target him. Kanade says, enough talking, let's move. But there's something they need to do first, which is to discover evidence because if they don't, they'll be considered traitors. Rain says, don't worry, I have a great idea. We can take them all down at once and set a trap for them. Then we see them all agreeing on what to do. We see Rain and Stella standing in that place. Stella says to Rain, just as I expected exactly, and Rain says, okay, let's execute the plan now. Then the knight leader speaks to the knights and says, the evidence of the governor's conspiracy is in the warehouse. If this evidence gets out among the people, it will be the end of the governor, and we must deal with this matter personally before anyone notices anything. He tells them, whatever is inside that warehouse, find the target immediately and destroy it before they can do anything. Indeed, they enter the warehouse, but suddenly they find something thrown at them. They say it's a trap and try to escape quickly, but they don't make it, and Rain locks the door on them, not letting them out. At that moment, Rain uses his armored glove on the knight leader. The knight leader notices the attack and can dodge it, saying, no, my dear, I'm not like those kids. But Stella stands beside him and says, did you do this, or what? She replies, yes, I did this, and surrender now. By the way, while we're talking, my friends have taken control of the Knights Organization office, and this is all evidence of your corruption. Then she speaks to Rain, saying, let me handle this, and I will finish everything as I started. Indeed, they start attacking each other, and the Knight leader has the upper hand at first, but in the end, Stella manages to hit him with a decisive blow, and he falls to the ground. At that moment, we go back to Ajay again, who is hitting this little girl, saying, how did they manage to arrest the Knight leader so easily? But honestly, they're useless and do nothing but hinder me. But it's okay, I have 100 personal guards around this palace, and no one will be able to come near me or even harm me. At that moment, the hero group leader appears to Ajay and says, no, my dear, if it's Rain, he can do many things. Ajay is surprised and says, who are you, man, and what brought you here? He replies, I sympathize with you, nothing more, and I hate Rain just like you, maybe even more. He throws him an easy Rain and says, this tool will easily eliminate the target you want. I told you I sympathize with you, so you can use it to defeat him easily, and he won't have any chance to beat you ever. After that, we see the girl who was with Ajay in the palace living a happy life in her old house. Everyone loves her, and she was living a very happy life before all this happened to her. Then Stella and some of her friends go to the governor's palace. They tell the guards they are here to search the governor's area on a very urgent mission that cannot be delayed. But the knights don't believe them at all and say, no one told us anything about this. Then Candy and Tanya appear and tell them if you continue with this, you will also be considered traitors with the governor. But at that moment, they call some of the palace guards and say, come here and see this. The governor's son is watching all this from above, laughing and confident. He watches them blow up the entire place and says they are the strongest type. He is focused on his ring, saying if he uses this ring, Rain will be completely finished, and so will their contract with him. Then Rain enters the place with the girls. Rona says to him, by the way, you're really smart, and using this distraction technique might work on them. Rona tells him, now I can use a powerful spell to find the locations of all the people we are looking for. Indeed, she uses her ability to locate the magical signals of the kidnapped people. When she uses this ability, she notices a very powerful non-human entity with the captives, with very high magical power. He decides to go and find out where this strong signal is coming from. Then he goes to the room with the signal and finds a girl looking like a fox, lying on the ground exhausted. Rain assures her that he won't harm her and that he will save her. We learn that her name is Nina. We find out that the governor kidnapped her when she was young and forced her to obey him and stay under his control. Rain reassures her and says he will free her and break the collar around her neck. Indeed, he manages to do so, but after a great struggle with her. When we return to the girls, we find they have defeated all the knights and it didn't take them much time. At that moment, Ajay is very worried, and his father enters and asks him what happened. Son. Ajay tells his father, don't worry, you leave, and I will handle it. Then Rain meets his friends again and introduces them to Nina, telling them she is one of the strongest types. At that moment, they see the governor trying to escape, but they manage to catch him easily. When Ajay sees his father fall to the ground, he uses the power of the ring and attacks Rain, injuring him. But then we see that nothing happened to Rain because he is a beast tamer, and beast tamers are not affected by such things. Ajay is shocked that nothing happened to him. But suddenly, he is even more shocked when something strange comes out of the ring and eats his hand. He tries to seek help from Rain and the others, but a very strange and powerful monster appears. Rain is stunned when he sees it and realizes that this is the monster that killed his entire village. The monster says it will kill them all and then leaves the place. The monster goes to the city and finds Rain and his friends there to destroy it. The monster laughs at them and says, you can't do anything, and I will enjoy playing with you for a while. They try to stop it and all attack it together, but they can't do anything to it. Then the monster summons reinforcements, but they can't fight Rain and his friends. But it surprises them by being able to gather reinforcements infinitely. When it gets bored with them, it decides to vent its anger on the city and burns a large part of it. This makes them all furious, and they start fighting it with all their might. We then go to the hero's team, and the leader's friends tell him that they must be in the village during this demonic attack. But they say, no, our job is to defeat the Demon King, not a weak demonic attack like this. But what they don't know is that he actually wants all this to happen to kill Rain. Then Stella talks to their soldiers and motivates them to win the battle and save the city. She then talks to the twins and learns from them that they will transport the city's residents with their ability. Indeed, they go to the townspeople and residents and tell them that these twins will transport them to a safe place away from the demonic attack. The townspeople and residents listen to them and enter the transport area to go to a safe place. When we return to the battlefield, we see that the townspeople are also helping in the fight, attacking some of the monsters. Even the blacksmith, Gantes, helps the residents by giving them free swords to attack the monsters. At this time, Rain wants to reach the demon to strike it directly. Nina appears and tells him that she can help and that she's tired of feeling useless. Rain listens to her and carries her on his back until they get close to the demon. Then Nina uses her teleportation magic to bring Rain closer to it. Indeed, Rain manages to use his power to trap the demon and deliver a fatal blow to kill it. Nina at this point keeps saying she wants to help Rain more and stay with them. Rain agrees, and they manage to form a contract between them, and everyone is happy about it. Then Rain and the rest of the girls go to the guild and meet Stella there. She says to him, "I came here to ask them to create a system to protect the city. I wanted to thank you because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to do any of the things that happened. Now everything is fine, and we managed to get rid of the old night system." They sit together afterward, and everyone is happy when they learn that Rain reached rank D. He is surprised that he managed to do that. She tells him, "You were able to do that because you easily exposed the governor's crimes and saved the city." Rain is also happy and says, "Alright, I'm treating you all tonight to celebrate this occasion." Then Rain talks to the guild deputy and says, "I came here looking for a new place to live because in our old house, I sleep on the floor since there's no space at all." The deputy agrees and says, "That's easy, considering all you've done for us. We need a hero like you to stay close." After that, they all go to look for a house and start searching among the houses, but they don't find anything they like. Finally, Rain settles on a particular house, but the guild deputy tells him, "There's one problem with this house, it's full of ghosts." When they enter the house, they find everything moving, and a ghost appears in front of them. They all get scared and try to fight her, but they can't do anything to her. In the end, Rain manages to calm her and says, "You look like a kind ghost and won't harm us." We learn that this girl was killed long ago, which is why she became a ghost and now lives in this house. She says, "Since you all are staying here, I will leave." But Rain tells her, "No, stay with us. It won't be a problem if you remain here." The girl is very happy with Rain's decision because now she will have new friends. Then we see the heroes team in the city trying to bully a merchant. But the man tells them, "You are not a hero team at all. Where were you when the city was attacked?" The leader gets angry and tries to hit him. In contrast, Rain is living his life happily, content with what he has achieved, even though he had nothing since his village was destroyed.